Hi crafty friends, today's video is a scrapbook page where I use some new items that I bought and also digital files that I printed out and then used my Cricut to cut out. So I'm just putting the images that I bought. A few of them are on Etsy. I'll link that below, which was coffee themed, and then actually a few from some other digital kits I had that I just typed in food and some of them came up. And I put them all in my Cricut design space and printed them out for a print and cut. So I'm just now taking them off my mat. And then the other thing was I have a journaling card that I like a lot. It has what looks like it was ripped out of a book. And the Cricut does a really good job of cutting that out. And I'll show you that when it's done cutting, because actually why I'm making this video. This part of the video, the Cricut's cutting it out. So the next thing I'm going to do, so that paper right there was from also the Etsy kit. So I printed it out on legal size paper. So I'm just cutting it down 10 by 6.5. And then this paper I cut 10 by 8. And then there's my Cricuts all done cutting it out, and I did it without an edge and it looks really good. It looks like it was just ripped out. The thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a new stencil that I literally just got this week from Cherry on Top, and it's like a newsprint, which I thought was kind of cool because, like, what do you do when you're at the diner, which is where the photos are from, is at having breakfast at a diner is, you know, old school. You read the newspaper. So this stencil made me think that'd be great to put in the two corners, but I didn't want to do it all one color. So I decided to do the text, which you really can't read. It's like blurry text, with gray. And then I wanted to make sure I cleaned that off a little bit because that's archival. And then I use this brown to just do the coffee stains. And I just used those little small brushes so I could make sure that, I mean, I messed up in a few spots, words are hard, a few spots, but you couldn't even see it because it's just, you know, kind of like in the background. So then I decided to do it up in the other top corner, and the stencil was cool. It has more coffee stains at the top, but they're different. So I didn't have to like flip it, or I probably could have because the font is like unreadable. I'll link this stencil below if Cherry on Top still has it. I just got it last week, so I think they might. I think it's a Stamparella. So my pictures are of my son when we went to the diner for breakfast. When he decided that he's 16, he decided he wanted to try coffee again. So he ordered it. The pictures are really cute. He's like blowing on it. He's sipping it. And he's really trying to give it another chance. And there's 3 pictures, and I snapped them real quick of him experimenting with coffee again, because a couple years ago he hated it. So when I ordered this paper from Cherry on Top, I only ordered one piece, and I kind of like the pink on the back too. So I decided that I'm going to gut the paper that I'm using because I knew only a little bit was sticking out. I was going to tuck it under. So I cut 3 inches on one side and 2 inches on the other, which really worked out because later on I do use pink that I didn't originally plan to use. The other thing was I decided I don't always ink my edges, but sometimes I do when I feel it needs it. And this white paper on the background just really needed to be inked, so I decided to ink both papers. So now I was ready to start putting some double stick tape down, and I really struggled getting these papers straight. I don't know why. And then I decided, well, I have grid on my desk, I might as well use it. So that really helped. I tried the this T-square ruler, could not get it to work. The grid really helped me get it straight. So I highly recommend a grid mat somewhere. So now this I can usually eyeball. I don't know why I couldn't do the other one. It happens to me every once in a while where I can't get it straight. I also struggled with these photo mats because I knew I wanted one all the way across the other side with a big space in the middle for my journaling. And I didn't want it to not be on the same plane, like on the same line. So I took out my T ruler for that. And normally I just eyeball it, but because I wanted it in a very specific spot, I used that. And then when I got that all in place, I realized you really couldn't see the frayed edges of my journaling spot that well. So then here comes in that piece that I gutted. I had some pink side and it was 8 inches long, and I cut it in half at 4 inches, and then I'm going to stick them behind it so it looks like the paper, it's like a little cheat, looks like the paper runs behind it the whole way, but it doesn't. Obviously I cut it. Right here I was deciding, because this was like an afterthought when I was planning it, where I want to put it. So I put my title and realized, oh well, then you're not going to see the paper at all. Let me move it over to that side, and then it still peeks out and you can see a little bit of it. I put that coffee cup on foam squares. I didn't really pop up too much on this page. I'm not a huge fan of bulk because I feel like you can fit more pages in an album if they're not bulky, but I'll pop up 1 or 2 things that, since that's sitting on top of the word coffee. I made that title, by the way. The coffee word is from a digital alpha that I got in a digital kit, and then I brought that into Cricut, and then I just typed out experiment, which I'm hoping is spelled right now that I look at it, and just made a simple title real quick and cut it out. And now I'm just moving around the elements that I had picked to see where I want them. I had an idea when I picked them to cut out, but I ended up, I like the coffee before talkie. I think that's funny and it kind of fits my son, but it was kind of greenish. It didn't print out the color that I was hoping, so I decided not to use it. After I get things kind of where I want them to be, I'm going to glue everything down. Now I've glued everything down, I'm happy with it, but I want to add enamel dots from my stash, which I most of the time get from Echo Park's warehouse sale. I'll just get a bunch of colors and put it in my stash that I don't have. Sometimes I'll actually go on Amazon and get them, like a whole bunch of them, but that's mostly where I get them. Every once in a while when I buy a kit and I see enamel dots that are special color, then I end up buying them when I buy the kit. So now all that's left to do is to stick my 3x4 photos on the white photo mats, and it's done. This page was fun. It ended up being a combination of one paper that I bought recently with a stencil that I bought recently, which was really good for me because I didn't just buy something and then put it away. I used it within a week of actually getting it because I bought that paper with a purpose. I knew I had those photos, and instead of filing it away for next time, I decided, nope, I know where those photos are. Let's do it. And then I realized I don't really have a lot of coffee icons or ephemera. So then I did a digital search and found these on Etsy for $2.50. And it's not just coffee, there's like cookies and chocolate. So it's definitely usable, and I liked the way the art looked. So I felt like that was a great purchase. And just brought each of them into the Cricut, and then selected the print and cut, and they came out great. I'll link that Etsy file below, and I'll link the one paper that I bought from Cherry on Top below as well. The coffee cups that say I love you, that's actually from the Etsy file, and it came in a square, but it was ready to be a pattern, so I just dropped it in to the pattern in Photoshop and then made a paper that was legal size, so then I could print it out and get at least 12 inches from it. The only other paper was a paper from my stash, from a paper pad from Hobby Lobby, where I have a section in my craft room that is vintage papers. And that's it for this page. Stay tuned for some close-ups. Thanks so much for watching. Have a crafty day.